Hey guys, Jungle Explorer here with another trail camera review, this time the Akaso V50 Pro. Alright guys, I'm excited about this review because I have been wanting to test out these cameras from the Akaso company. They have some of the highest rated action cams on Amazon.com, some of them having up to 10,000 reviews. This one right here having over 1,100 positive reviews. So I've really wanted to test their equipment. They finally contacted me and offered me a chance to review their products, so I'm glad to do it, and I can't wait to get this baby out of the box and put it into some testing. Okay, having said that, this is going to be a long video, so I'm just warning you right up front, but I am going to give you a way to shortcut it, all right? I'm going to throw a list up on screen here that will show you different times in the video that you'll be able to jump to see the different features that you may be interested in. You might just be interested in one thing, just the video quality or the white balance or the microphone. So I'm going to do all that testing, and I will put the times up on the screen here so that you can jump to those times and skip the rest that you're not interested in, because this will be a long video. Okay guys, so let's jump right into getting this baby out of the box and get it tested. All right. Now, here we go. We just take it out the bottom. All right. Man, look at that. Nice case. This almost looks like a GoPro case with the rounded edges and everything. It's kind of a semi-clear color. Let's see how it opens here. Pops it up like that. Ooh, check it out. This one's not black like all the other ones. It's a little bit gray in it here. Kind of a rubbery feel. Rubberized feel to it. Looks cool. Let's pull the little lens tab off. Okay. Nice screen. Got a tripod screw there. You know, it just really feels better than a lot of the cameras I've had. Even the door, it feels more solid. I don't know if it's the rubberized feel or what. It just feels, it is light, but it just has a better, feels just a little more solid than some of the other cameras. Big blue and red buttons there. Okay. Let's see what else they've given us here in the box. Pull that out. Out comes all the stuff. Ooh, remote control wristband. Cool. Yeah, I like that. One battery. Two batteries. These are standard size square batteries. So universal battery there. Got your sticky mountain plate. Your bicycle attachment bar. Extra waterproof door for your camera. Let me line this stuff out here. Got a few, your tripod mount. It's got male and female tripod mounts. Some zip ties. Whole bunch of Velcro straps here. What is this? You know, I've never seen this before. This must be some kind of a tightening, for tightening up the... Oh, okay, I got you. It goes around there. Okay, it's a wrench. It's for tightening them things up. It's got your external case for shooting in open air. Goes around. How's it go here? But it goes something like that. All right. Boom. Okay. So it's got that. Your clip-on case. Double external battery charger. Cool. Several arms, charging cable, and a stick. It's got two stick-on mounting clips and one clip. All right. Wow, that's quite a bit of stuff there to get you going. And so let's go ahead and grab one of these batteries and stick it in here. They normally come with a little bit of charge on them, so let's... Alright, so let's power it up and let's see how fast it takes to turn this thing on. Press the button. Wow, that is like a second. That is the fastest I've seen. Battery doesn't have much charge on it. Okay, so all this is nice. Lots of neat stuff that comes with it. But the real thing that matters is how well does it film. I mean, it's got a lot of positive reviews. I'm expecting great results. So let's get out there, test it, and see how well it does. And we're back. And I put this camera through quite a few tests, guys. Tested all of the primary functions and some of the secondary functions of the camera for you, and tried to give you the best examples that I could. I compared this camera to a couple other cameras, my SJACM SJ7 Star and my Samsung Galaxy S8 smartphone, because I wanted to give you something to judge the footage out of this camera against. Not just the footage itself, but to have something to compare it to, okay? So I'm going to do first things first, and the most important function of this camera is as an action camera, which most people are going to buy this camera because they want to put it on a bicycle, on a motorcycle, use it in a car, or go skiing with it. So they want to see how it performs in a high velocity or a fast action environment. Okay, I'm going to start out with some footage from a different camera. This is my SJACM SJ7 Star. It takes really good 4K footage. Now, I did not have image stabilization turned on this camera, and I was wearing it on my head, but I want you to see what the track looked like with no image stabilization. So I hooked this baby up to my ATV and went out and did some backcountry driving for you. Got my Samsung Galaxy smartphone here with my Rode microphone and my little octopus, my little Photo Pro octopus that's tied around this to hold it on. Okay, getting ready to go. Start recording. We got the recording going. All right, hold your horses, because here we go. Whoa! Yeah! Whoa! Whoa! Almost lost my camera there. Here, this is some action for you guys. Action footage. This is tight in here, tight. Whoa, 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 whoa. There's a tight squeeze here, 2 trees, yeah. Take this corner here, yeah. Come up this hill. Here we go. And go. Alright, now, you saw that footage. That was pretty cool. Okay, no video stabilization. It's pretty jumpy around, but you can see where I was driving, how tight it was. So, the V50 was mounted kind of on the hood, the dashboard there, so you're not going to see the sides of it. You're just going to see in front. And it's got video stabilization turned on, and so let's roll that footage. We got the recording going. All right, hold your horses, because here we go. Whoa, yeah. Whoa, whoa, almost lost my camera there. This is some action for you guys. Action footage. This is tight in here, tight. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. There's a tight squeeze here, 2 All right, pretty cool. Now the video, you can tell that compared to the SJ7 Star, a lot more stable and everything. You know, it's kind of funny in watching the footage that the video stabilization did stabilize the video, but it kind of made it look like I was going a lot slower than I actually was. So it didn't, to me, it didn't actually look as exciting as this one right here without the video stabilization. So maybe the shaking a little bit kind of adds to the emotion, but it did a great job. But let's go ahead and see how it does without video stabilization. So here we go without video stabilization. Here we go, one more time. Okay, it did not do nearly as good without video stabilization. As you're watching, I'm going through, everything's blurry, shaky. You know, it really went down in quality from the first video there. Now, I also was filming with my Samsung Galaxy smartphone here, which does shoot some pretty amazing footage itself, and I had it mounted to the ATV using an Octopus, the Photo Pro Octopus tripod, and I was getting some sound from the microphone. So I'm going to actually run through the thing with it so you can see how this, now this is an $800 phone, okay, so you know it's going to have the best of the best in it, and it has some pretty amazing video stabilization. So I'm going to let you see how this compares to this as far as footage quality and video stabilization. So roll footage. Whoa! Yeah! Whoa! Whoa! Almost lost my camera there. Here, this is some action for you guys. Action footage. This is tight in here, tight. Whoa! 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 There's a tight squeeze here, 2 trees. Yeah! Take this corner here. Yeah! Come up this hill. Here we go. And go. Okay, so you know, obviously this shoots some really good footage, but this actually made it look boring. It was so stable, the video was just boring to me. I mean, it looked like I was going like a snail's pace. There's such a huge dramatic difference between this and what this looks like. The most exciting one came out of this camera without the video stabilization, at least in my opinion. Maybe it's because you could actually see more of the ATV or something, but I actually like the footage out of this camera the best. And so, but definitely you can see on this one here, when I was facing the sun, it got real dark and it didn't handle it very well. Whereas this camera actually handled facing the sun a lot better than this $800 smartphone. So that was good. The quality of the footage has been good. All right, now let's do some other tests. Now it does take pictures, and I've got to say that most of these little action cams kind of suck at taking pictures. I mean, honestly, their pictures stink. But this one doesn't. This one actually has some pretty decent pictures. Now, this picture is just basically of a cactus patch I'm going to throw up here. Now, just look at this picture. This is a very good picture for an action camera. It's very clear. The cactus has a lot of needles and things on it, and that's a lot of fine detail, and the camera handles this scenario very well. Okay? So I was impressed with the quality of this picture out of this camera. All right, so how about audio? It has an onboard microphone, and so you're going to want to know about that. So I did a little bit of a wind test. Okay, so here I'm standing facing the sun, and the wind's blowing towards me. It's a very light wind, maybe 5-6 miles an hour. And so let's listen to the audio out of the camera on this. Okay, so now I'm going to talk, and you can hear what I'm saying here. And there's a little bit of wind, and now I'm going to switch over to the Rode Video Micro as I'm talking, so you can hear the difference. And I'm, just saying whatever I can think comes into my head here, and I'm going to switch back over to the microphone from the V50. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what the microphone on the V50 sounds like compared to a pretty good microphone from Rode here. Okay, so, that was a good example there of the quality of the audio that you're going to get out of the onboard microphone on this little camera, and you really can't expect a whole lot out of them. I mean, they just don't have very good microphones, not compared to a really decent microphone like the Rode Video Micro. Unfortunately, during reviewing the footage that I took with the V50, I noticed a distortion in the background of the audio. It's very slight and it's back there. But in quiet environments, it's actually quite loud, and I was kind of disappointed to hear that. So let me let you hear this distortion so you know what I'm talking about. So it was very faint, but you can hear that little in the background there that's going on. I didn't know if it was a setting on the camera, maybe the image stabilization or some other setting that was causing it. So I took the camera down into a storm cellar where it was totally quiet and ran through a bunch of settings trying to figure out what was causing it, changing resolution, changing settings, even did a factory reset back to factory defaults, and nothing could get rid of that sound. It was always there and very prominent. So here's a little enhanced audio clip from that session so that you can hear it really clearly. Now, I have to be really honest here. It is very slight and it is deep in the background. The only reason that I actually picked it up is because I use a professional headset and I can pick up the smallest sounds. In normal, everyday usage, you're probably not going to hear that. But since I did pick it up, I wanted to let you know that it is there. Now, that being said, I personally never use the microphones that are built into these cameras because they're just not that good. I require much higher quality, and I recommend you shoot. If you want good audio, don't use the microphone on any action camera. All right, so now let's do some special. This camera has time-lapse recording, okay? And so I shot a little scene of the sun. I just drove the ATV at the end of the day, drove it up to a fence overlooking a field, and just left it there and set it to time-lapse record. Now, it has several settings for time-lapse. You can be infinite time-lapse, or you can set a duration time, and it has like 1 second, 3 seconds, 8 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute intervals. You can set it whatever you want to set, and you can record time-lapse photography. So this is some time lapse of the sun going down. Okay, so there you go. That was pretty cool. If you wanted to film a scene with this, I would hook it up to an external power source, set it up, and you could film some time-lapse photography with this. It'd be pretty cool. Now, this has a feature that I've never seen on any other action cam that I've ever tested. And this is way cool. Be prepared to be blown away. So, I took the camera out at 1 o'clock in the morning. This is pitch black dark, 1 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, the scene where I did the time lapse, I left the ATV there, and I went back, hooked the camera up, and shot this picture. And you're like, well, it's black. It's totally black. I mean, that's not cool. Haha, yeah. But this has a long exposure feature, which goes up to 1 minute. Okay? Prepare to have your socks blown off. Okay? So I've set it to 1 minute long exposure, took a picture. Now, this is the same time, the same exact position as that black dark picture that had nothing in it. And I took the long exposure, 1 minute long exposure, 60 seconds. Here you go. Bam. Check it out. All right. That is cool. All right. It looks like daylight, man. That is really, really cool. I mean, I have never seen an action cam that could do that. And that really goes to a powerful sensor that the sensor is really good at handling this. I mean, that was just amazing. I did not expect to see that picture come out of this camera. I was just totally blown away. And so, you know, you could use this for nighttime. You know, you're like, well, what am I going to use this for? Well, I'll tell you what. Several years ago, I was up in the Arctic, and one night, I was freezing my cojones off, man. I literally I was in 2 sleeping bags, dressed in all of my winter gear, and sleeping in a tent in the Arctic, man. I was freezing. I'm going to die tonight. So I got up and built a huge fire, okay? And, all right, I built this huge fire, and I'm sitting there like rotisserie around in a circle around this fire because literally I was in some pretty thick clothing, but I think it was like minus 30 degrees. And I could stand this way and say the fire was right here. And literally, I feel like I was cooking on one side, but freezing with frostbite on the other side. It was so stinking freaking cold. All right. But, right about that time, it was about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I stayed up all night, guys. It was like a survival thing. And, about 3 o'clock in the morning, the most beautiful northern lights started going by. So I had a small compact, what's called a prosumer camera. It was a Sony V1. This thing was like a little brick, but it was an amazingly powerful camera for that time, all right? And I had to keep it inside my clothes against my body to keep the battery from dying because of the extreme cold. So while I'm sitting there freezing by this fire, along comes the most powerful, potent northern lights, man, and they're going across. So I pulled my camera out and I snapped these shots. All right, those are amazing, okay? But here's the deal. I could not have taken those with a normal camera. What allowed me to take those pictures was exactly how I took that amazing 1 o'clock in the morning picture with this right here, long exposure. Except that camera only had a 30-second long exposure, and this one has a 1 minute. Okay, so you cannot take a picture of the northern lights normally without long exposure. Okay, you have to be able to do a long exposure unless you have some kind of really expensive camera with a massive oversized sensor. You need long exposure. So this camera could actually do that. And what's better about this is that camera didn't have a very wide angle lens, so I could just catch small portions of the northern lights. This one right here has a 170 degree wide angle lens, so you can capture a lot of the sky. It would be really, really good. So that's a really useful feature for nighttime photography. Okay, now let's move on to what I like to call the detail test, which is basically I'm going to shoot a video of a very detailed scene so that you can see just how good the camera is. So this is a patch of really brand new grass that's sprouting in the spring. It's real pretty. Got a little wind blowing, and it's going to show you some detail. So here we go. Now I'm going to show you a clip of the same scene, same footage from the SJ7 Star. Okay, now the same scene filmed with the Galaxy S8 smartphone. Okay, so that should give you a good representation of how the camera handles fine detail in a very still environment with lots of little moving things there, which I think it did pretty good. Okay, this next test is going to be complexity. How does it handle a very complex scene with a lot of different colors and lighting? And for this test, I'm going to be using my little stock pond, which has a reflective surface, and we're going to see how the camera handles that. Okay, so you can see here it's doing a pretty good job. This is a very complex scene. You got light, you got shadow, you got reflection, you got colors, green, blue. You got a whole plethora of different things going on here. There's a little bit of artifacts over in the shadows of the trees. If you take a look over there, you can see a little bit of artifacts going on. But other than that, it's doing pretty good. The color balance is not 100%, but it's there. And it looks a tad bit over sharpened, but it does give some pretty nice detail. Okay, now here's a clip taken with the SJ7 Star action cam. So the first thing you notice here is that the image is a little softer than the V50 Pro. The SJ7 Star is not quite as sharp, but if you notice, the sky is bluer and the grass is greener. Means that the white balance and saturation just a little bit better on this. Nothing that couldn't be fixed in post-processing or maybe with some adjustments on the V50 Pro, but this is all set to auto. So I'm going to give you one more comparison example here with the Samsung Galaxy S8 smartphone. So I'm going to throw that footage up for you. So the S8 is an $800 smartphone, and it has impeccable white balance and shoots very sharp video. And I'm just throwing it in here to give you a comparison to compare the V50 Pro with something that's of real high quality. Okay, so that should give you enough to kind of tell how it's going to handle a complex scene like that. It did really, really good. About the only thing I can say that's not perfect on it is the color balance, but it had very sharp video and it was well within reason. So let's move on to the next test. So now I'm going to do an auto white balance test to see how well it does judges white balance automatically. We've already seen that it doesn't do too well in that last scene, but let's see how it does in a controlled lighting environment where everything is equal. For this test, I'm going to use a color palette that I printed off the internet to kind of judge each camera by and see which one does the best. So first, I'm going to throw up the image taken by the V50 Pro. Now I'm going to throw up an image taken with the SJ7 Star. And now an image taken with the S8 Galaxy smartphone. And for this test, I'm going to throw out one additional image from my Sony a6500 mirrorless camera. Now I'm going to throw all four of them up on screen so that we can compare them all side by side. Well, looking at them like this, I think I'm pretty satisfied that the V50 Pro did good. It actually did better than the SJACM SJ7, not as good as the Galaxy S8, but that's to be expected, or the Sony a6500, but it did good, and I think the auto white balance chose the correct setting for this environment. Now, one of the drawbacks of these wide-angle action cameras is that they have a fisheye lens, and that tends to distort things. Now, this one has distortion correction on it, and I wanted to see how well it worked. So let me show you how it did. So I had distortion correction turned on when I took this auto white balance test image. So I turned it off and took the same exact image with the distortion correction turned off. And as you can tell, it actually does work. It did straighten the paper out, and the overall image looks straighter with the distortion correction turned on. So that's impressive. Okay, so I'm going to talk about battery life. I charged the battery up all the way full, put it in here, set the camera to 4K, set it down, hit the button, and left it. Came back a couple hours later, battery was dead, and I had recorded 68 minutes, well actually 67 and 48 seconds of time, of footage, before the battery died, okay? And so that's pretty good for 4K video. That's over an hour. Most of the cameras that I've had would die within under an hour. So to get almost, 68 minutes, 1 hour and 8 minutes out of a single battery at 4K footage, that's actually pretty good battery usage. You probably would get a lot longer, maybe an hour and a half if you were shooting just 1080p, because that would use less power. So that's actually pretty good battery life, and it comes with 2 batteries. It will give you over 2 hours of filming on the 2 batteries. Okay, so let's talk about data storage. A lot of people have written in on my channel and asked me why these action cameras only shoot little short files. Well, there's a couple of reasons why. One, a lot of the cameras simply don't have a setting to record long files. There's something over in Europe, I don't know, I've lived over there, but they have this deal where they tax any camera that can shoot video longer than 30 minutes. It's a video camera tax or something like that. Somebody from Europe can chime in and kind of give me some clarification on that. But cameras that are manufactured to go around the world, sometimes they'll have that 30-minute video file or video length cap, because they don't want people in Europe having to pay that tax. Okay, but there's also another factor, and that factor is the file format of the SD card. Now, this camera right here, the SD card on it is recording in a FAT32 file system. Okay, the FAT32 file system supports a maximum of a 4 GB file. So it can't, if it's recording video and it gets close to 4 GB, it's going to seal that video off, finish it, and then write a new file. It's not got anything to do with anything other than the FAT32 file format system cannot handle a file bigger than 4 GB. And so when I shot at 4K and set that camera down, and I got that 68 minutes, it was actually in 9 different files. Okay, because each file was approximately 9 minutes long, because it got right there at that 4 GB data cap into the file and started a new one. So that's a constricting factor on how long the length of your video files. Now, if you're filming in 1080p, you probably can get maybe 30 minutes before you hit that 4 GB. It just depends. I haven't filmed much with 1080p in this, but it will be longer than 9 minutes. But 4K is in 4K, about 9 minutes is gonna be your maximum video length because of that restriction. Okay, so guys, I mean, I have really busted my butt trying to cover all the angles of this camera for you, and I really went an extra mile on this camera because it does have 1,100 reviews, and I wanted to make sure that those weren't bot reviews or something, that they're just paying people to get those reviews. They did give me this camera, but you know me, I'm an honest guy. I'm gonna put the evidence out there and show you what it does. I mean, I've worked my tail end off trying to cover all the bases on this camera. Now, if for some reason I didn't cover something that you wanted to see, write a note to me in the comment section of this video, and I will try to cover that in a future video for you, okay? Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, and comment. Remember, when you subscribe, click the little bell so that you'll be notified whenever I release new videos. And remember, this product and other products that you've seen in this video, I will list in the description under the video. Just click on the show more. You can see that there. Also connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All that's down in the description of the video. Just click on the show more. Until next time, this is the Jungle Explorer signing out.